Imagine how the miners and their families were trying to survive during one of the coldest winters in Colorado's history. Let me put some faces to the people living in Ludlow. I would like to introduce you to Thomas and Mary Petrucci's children, Bernard, who was 6 years old, Joe, who is 4 and a half, Lucy, who is 2.5 years old, and Frank, 6 months old. By February 1914, Bernard became sickened by the severe cold and died in Ludlow because the militia would not let my grandmother take him on the train to Trinidad to see a doctor. Tensions between the miners and coal camp operators continued to escalate. On the day after Greek Easter, April 20th, 1914, Major Hamrock met Louis Tikas at the Ludlow depot and wanted Tikas to turn over a miner who was not at Ludlow. A shot rang out from an unknown source. Imagine the chaos that followed when the shooting from the militia and the miners started. And the Colorado militia started to set the tent colony on fire. Men, women, and children sought any shelter they could find or escaped down an arroyo and into the mountains. Mary Petrucci and her 3 younger children, as well as other women and children, found shelter in a pit under Alcarita Pedregon's tent. Imagine being Mary Petrucci and Alcarita Pedregon, who walked out of the pit, dazed, confused, and alive. Imagine their grief and how they felt when they later learned that they were the only survivors from the shelter. In Priscilla Long's book entitled Where the Sun Never Shines, she wrote that Judge Ben Lindsay, the founder of the country's first juvenile court, who was familiar with the coal industry because it orphaned many children, became the leader of an entourage of strikers' wives and supporters who left Denver on May 18, 1914 to publicize the Union side of the Ludlow Massacre. Mary Petrucci and 3 other women traveled to Chicago, Washington, and New York and spoke at rallies and gave interviews. Because of her grief over the death of her children, Mary Petrucci broke down during the tour and returned to Colorado. Before leaving the tour, Mary spoke with a Washington reporter and stated, "Perhaps it seems strange to you that I want to go home, but I do. My man is there and my children are buried there. I have been so happy there. Why, there wasn't a happier woman anywhere than I was. You see, I'm Italian, and although I was born in this country, and our people are gay of heart. I used to sing around my work and playing with my babies. Well, I don't sing anymore, and my husband doesn't laugh as he used to. I'm 24 years old, and I'm supposed to live a long time, but I don't see how I can ever be happy again. But I try to be cheerful on account of my husband. It's so hard for him when he comes home from work, and to find me in the house and none of the children. But you're not to think we could do anything differently another time. We are working people, my husband and I, and we're stronger for the union than before the strike. But perhaps when everybody knows about them, something will be done to make the world a better place for all babies." After the Ludlow Massacre, my grandfather Thomas and my grandmother Mary began to rebuild their lives by starting a new family here in Ludlow. They named the next 3 children after the 3 children that they lost in the Ludlow Massacre. First, Lucy was born, followed by Joseph, my father Frank in 1919, Edna, Mary, and Angeline. My father has told me his memories of his childhood, about what came next after Ludlow, and how people who lost so much continue to work and to remake a family. If you look to my left there's a house that my father recalls that his father built with railroad ties for the outside walls. doors for the inside walls and ceiling, with corrugated tin for the roof. It was located in Lower Ludlow, near the two houses still standing there. The Petrucci family used coal in their stove for cooking and for heat in the winter. Mary would cook and bake big loaves of bread. They obtained a gas stove when they moved near the store and garage in Upper Ludlow when Dad was 6 or 7 years old. Dad remembers having spaghetti for dinner on Sundays. That was a treat. His father raised animals for food and because they interested him. Thomas built a chicken coop and kept cages of owls, skunks, wolves, coyotes, crows to learn their individual behaviors. He split the tongue of a crow and trained it to talk as a parrot. Thomas also trained messenger pigeons, released them, and watched them return. Dad enjoyed hunting rabbits and other game with his father and his brother. Thomas would purchase a piglet from a nearby farm as a treat during the Christmas and New Year holiday. His mother then would pickle the pig's feet for food for the family to eat later. During the year, the family would visit relatives in a mining camp in Delagua and on a farm in Trinidad. Dad also remembers that he and his siblings had to behave when playing on one side of the house because their father could see them from the post at the tipple on the mine. Dad recalls playing in abandoned buildings with his brother Joe, playing baseball with 4 or 5 children on a team, throwing the ball over a house to see if the other team could catch it, playing hockey with a curved tree branch and a tin can, playing kick the can, and walking with cans attached to their feet. The children in Ludlow would try to catch horses that roamed around the mine and then try to ride them bareback. While living in Upper Ludlow, Dad found a train car filled with watermelons, opened a crate, and took a watermelon for his family. A train guard saw Dad with the watermelon and allowed him to take the fruit home. Dad and other children would also climb on a train as it was beginning to move, and then jump off when the train began to speed off. On one occasion, Dad's best friend, Bruno Minipace, attempted to climb on the ladder of a train as it was leaving Ludlow, fell off, and was killed. Dad was very upset about his friend's death and not having the opportunity to be at his friend's funeral. Dad also remembers walking to school while he was growing up, having friends, and knowing that people here in Ludlow never bothered each other. One final tragedy would occur to the Petrucci family. Dad was 5 or 6 years old when his mother asked him to lie down with his younger sister Edna, who had consumption. Edna died with Dad lying beside her. The Petrucci family moved to Upper Ludlow so that Thomas could be closer to the mines in Ramey and Walson. The family moved to Walson for a short period of time so that his father could work in the mine there. The family returned to Ludlow when the mine reopened. The Petrucci family moved to Joliet, Illinois when Dad was 7 or 8 years old to be closer to family and for a better life. Dad's youngest sister Rose was born in Joliet. I would like to conclude by offering a few thoughts and questions. I learned at an early age that the Petrucci family was born out of tragedy. If Ludlow had not occurred, his parents might have kept on having children, but my father would not have been named Frank Petrucci. I'm grateful for being given the gift of life, of knowing that my grandparents and the miners in southern Colorado sacrificed so much for wanting to participate in the American dream. My grandparents and the other mining families continue to be true inspirations to me because of their ability to take a stand for what they thought was their inalienable rights, to have a just workday, ability to earn a fair wage, and to purchase goods where they wanted. My grandmother also taught me to live every day to the fullest because it may be our last. I feel honored to have this family legacy of involvement in America's labor struggle in southern Colorado. My questions to all of us are, Will we take a stand for a cause that affects our ability to enjoy the freedoms that our country was founded upon over 200 years ago? And would we be willing to sacrifice everything that means the most to us, our families, and our lives, to make the changes that we know are right and just? It is our collective responsibility to remember and learn lessons from the labor struggle in southern Colorado, the Ludlow Massacre, and the sacrifice of the miners and their families who wanted to be a part of the American dream, so that we can prevent another Ludlow from occurring in the future. Thank you.